Art is something that's always been a part of my life as far as I can remember. So just being surrounded by color helps me to get up in the morning. The idea of committing to being an artist means that you've committed to the battle, because that's what it is every day. It's a battle because you want respect, but you also want to be thought of as a real artist and taken seriously. All we want to do is be heard. That's the whole idea behind being an artist, and anybody that tells you different is lying. To me, taste is something that is a combination of many things. It's the way you were raised. It's a lot of the influences that your parents have passed on to you. It's, the company that you keep. It's a lot of different things. And certainly, a lot of it is what you've learned, over a period of time. So taste is something that is not, in my opinion, something that can be defined in a word. I think that it's about life itself. My history as an artist began in the early 80s as a graffiti artist, and like everybody else, I painted subway trains and kind of began there. And I met Russell Simmons when he was forming Def Jam, like I said, back in the early 80s. I was instrumental in working with artists like Run DMC and Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, and artists that folks may not remember, like Eric B. and Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Slick Rick, De La Soul. It's fun for me to kind of step back and look at all these things and think, wow, I've had a lot of great opportunities in what seems to me to be a short period of time. I lived on the same block as Biggie Smalls, and I would literally, see him every morning when I'm leaving to go to work. And then one day, he signed to Puffy's Bad Boy label, and I'm designing his record. And I thought, this is that kid from my block. And the same thing just kept happening over and over again. I ended up working on Mary J. Blige's records, and I got to design her logo, and a lot of people thought, that was her signature, when in, actuality, it was my signature for her. Ultimately, everything today is driven by youth culture and quote-unquote street art, and urban culture, whether it be, music, graffiti, graphic design, the images that we see in clothing. So for the most part, I think that it is the mass culture. It's not that it influences the mass culture, it is the mass culture. I'm very fascinated that street art is finally getting accepted by the mainstream. But for the most part, I think that the real reason that it's getting accepted is because we are the new, pop generation. I'm a little bit older than some of the folks that are working now, but we are still the sons and daughters of Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein and folks like that. So I think that it's a long time coming. When we started working in the 80s, the establishment didn't want to let us in. And like, Grandmaster Flash and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if you stay around long enough, people will recognize you. So I think, they've finally realized that we're here to stay.